Hello, thank you. So what I will speak about is product into the code. For the beginning, I think feedback is the most valuable thing how to improve ourselves. So, and I want to be better in presentation. So if you heard something like you can do the points, and at the end, let's see how much I will have. All right, so let's hop in. I will introduce myself. So my name is Marek Braun. I'm working here at the Betsys for almost 7 years, and as 3 years I am in the role of lead of development, where I am responsible for general growth and quality in the product. At the beginning, I would like to say I am not, let's say, a native developer in the mobile. I have some experience and some applications in React Native, but I'm very interested in the Kotlin multi-platform, and I think it's a very cool technology. I have different aspects in script native or Flutter, but I know it only high level. All right, next slide. So I will speak about how we can introduce the product thinking to the code base. It's not about like how to write the application, but more like how to think about the code and the application. So let's say create the company. The company is leader of the market, have lots of developers, lots of teams, and let's say unlimited budget. So unlimited features. What the company will have produce, it will be some general shop, e-commerce, which will selling stuff, for example, with unicorns. So we have it. But then we can ask, like, what is the product? Like, we can start coding, or what to do? What are the features, how we will structure the codes, what are the domains, the dependencies, boundaries between the teams, and how to define it. At the end, it always can be like team have different sprint goals and focus is shattered, or they are fighting over the same code in the same place and like having conflicts there, and how to solve it, how to solve to have clear ownership and respect the point of view of the product to the code itself. So there are many techniques how to structure the code, how to look on the product. The product slicing is for sure one way. You can slice product by client journey, where we have the look on it closer. You can slice it by the type of the user, client. So for example, buyer or seller, for example, Amazon. Or the products itself. It can very help if you're selling some subsystems or sub-products, which is part of the delivery for the bigger product. So shortly, what is the customer journey? Customer journey, try to see how clients go through the product, and for example later define what are the goals in those client journeys, where are the touch points, and so on. In this phase, awareness, it's like nobody knows our eShop exists. Then, okay, he sees some cool link from the Facebook, coming to our website and starting considering using our application or web, or download our application. So he is browsing, and we must get his attention of the potential client. Then he probably makes some actions like register or login if you have already account created, and then he starting to do some orders, figuring out how he will deliver it. And at the end, it's important for us to know if the clients are satisfied. So important thing is customer service, for example. All right, there are many ways. I will not go to the details, but it have many ways how to see the product. It can be defined by touch point, department, stages, client type, and so on and so on. At the end, you can add there more things like OKRs, KPIs, how to measure it, how you basically know that part of the product is good or bad. Okay, so in our case, let's see, this is our imagination eShop, and there are three main sections. Let's call it tribes: acquisition, shop, and loyalty. And under those is that client journey. So there is the awareness, consideration, registration, choice, where he choosing something what client want to buy. Then he order it. Then he won't figure it out delivery. And then we must make sure if there is some problem, we will interact with the client, and client gets help. The yellow thing, yellow cards, you can see it as the features of that domain, that slice of the product. So, for example, for the awareness, it will be very important. There will be some marketing, how we will make our clients get to our applications. Then registration, there are tricky things like where to put, for example, reset password or verification and so on. You can slice it as you like. This is just example, but it can go usually somewhere. So in this case, login, it's for example a registration, same it's for same purpose. So then how to reflect it to the code? So we can create separate modules for the consideration, registration, for the choice, payments, and so on. How to granularize it? It's again up to you. Depends how big teams are, where they overlap, and try to figure it out how to structure the code from point of product. So you will have the less dependencies as possible and clear ownership. Okay, so I will go to the live presentation a little bit because I think in the code will be more interesting. This is just example. Okay, where I am. So this is application created by standard plugin Kotlin multi-platform for the mobile. Then it's small. Okay, I don't know how to make it bigger actually. Does someone know? It will kill the menu. No. Okay, sorry for technical difficulties. So let's try it open like this. So there is, from the client journey, we can reflect it to our modules. So that means shared is like general shared module between Android and iOS in this case. And then we have modules for the acquisition, where we see there is, okay, I will go here. For example, registration, there is a registration module, and here is mentioned client module, which we can find here. How to again structure, it's up to you a little bit, but it's important if a product is clear and have clear vision, like how to client interact with your product, then you can really structure the modules in the application, and it reflects the product. The same thing it's done with the loyalty and the shop. So again, like those modules are reflected in the application. To make integration easier, there is application module, so it's integrate all modules what we need, and it can be used on Android and iOS. And some core thingies, there is always something to share between modules, so there is core module. I have here the graph, so hopefully you will see it. Little messy output from the plugin, But we can see here on the top, it's the Android application itself. Like in the same case, here is iOS, but it cannot generate that module from that plugin. Application is just used for the bootstrapped application modules. And then you have your separate modules which can have dependencies between each other, or maybe not. In this case, we can see, for example, the delivery will have probably some dependencies on the payments. Card will have some dependencies on the delivery, and it can really show how those domains interact with each other, and where are those potential dependencies between the teams or departments, tribes, you can call it how you want. In different companies, it's in different setup. And on the bottom, there is the core module. Everyone likes some shared core, common, utils modules. So there is always something to share between them if needed. Okay, let me go back to the presentation. Oh, it's not. Okay, good. Yeah, same picture. What can be the pluses? Because it really depends how it's done. There are for sure a million ways how to structure the code. What I would like to mention here is embrace the idea to be on the same page with the product and business, and do not separate the world of the business, product, and the code itself, the applications, and try to see it as one thing, one tool, which at the end have the same goal, some product success or company success. There are pluses, like there will be probably more closer to the product itself. If it's done correctly, there will be clear ownership, or at least the boundaries, and the dependencies will be clear. The internal keyword will help for sure for the messy things between the products, so you can completely hide integrations of the APIs, WebSockets, or any infrastructure, databases, and so on. And the modules can ask each other just for the data or actions what they need to perform. How, again, up to you. And ubiquitous language, if someone is familiar with the domain-driven design, it's common language between developers and to all stakeholders, product owners, and everyone. So even if you do this product slicing, reflect it to the code, and you define this language, then it can very help to again understand the product and reduce the weird space between sometimes product and the technical world itself. So good example of ubiquitous language, it's like client and user. Okay, it's the same or not, or what's mean for us user, or what does mean client. What are the cons? For sure, if it's done in a rush or not correctly, then it can do more harm, because you can end up with 13 modules and dependencies everywhere, and nobody will know nothing like where to touch it or where I find that feature. So it's very important. What is needed is for sure have this look from the and cooperation with the product itself to be aligned and define those dependencies, boundaries, and the slices itself. It's needed you need a big understanding of the product itself, like what are the features, how to even structure it. Again, because mess can be done at the end. And it's not sometimes easy because we know sometimes business don't know what they want or how it should be done and how it should cooperate. So it's needed to go to those arguments and figure it out, like where the ownership is. Can be very this can be very overkill for small teams. For example, startups, like they should do it anyway, but for prototyping and everything, it can be very bad overkill. And the last thing, if it's not synchronized with the company structure, there is that Conway's law. If you make company structure differently, then it slowly will reflect to the system and technical levels too. If it's not the case, then you have again conflicts with the business and where is ownership and who want to touch that piece of code. Nobody. Okay, so it's not good. So this must be aligned with the business and product. And that's basically all. So I'm very interesting how much thingies I said, like I will be very glad to hear your experience here or some speaker corner, how you think about that, and which experience you have in your companies, or it's always big fight with the product and ownership, scaling. It's very interesting how this can be important for smaller, medium, and big company. But when the company is growing, then like those parts of the code must be separated somehow.